It really helps to put on the microphone, doesn't it?
Yes, that would be preferable.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. So, Len, tell me your seeking story and what got you here.
What got me here?
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, it's weird to be talking to you directly after watching your videos, but I will
Oh,
persevere. I'm sure I'm not the first person who said that.
yeah, yeah.
I actually found out about you maybe about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks
Oh,
ago. A
wow.
famous WhatsApp group who
Yeah,
is, yeah, that's based around David Bingham's teaching.
yeah, yeah. I've talked to
Yeah,
maybe three or people, I guess, from that group already. Yeah.
yeah,
And I
Dee and
posted a
Chirag,
video.
and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, my seeking story.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
been lots of outward seeking,
Hmm.
life seeking, and spiritual seeking.
Yeah,
That seems to have been the theme of my life, to be perfectly honest.
yeah.
And the outward stuff has taken the shape of um, trying lots of different places to live. I now live in Scotland. This is the fifth country I've lived in,
Oh,
so I've
wow.
lived a lot. Um,
Fantastic, though. Isn't it awesome?
it has been really, and much of it has been a positive experience. Yes,
Okay, okay.
it's really made me grown as an individual. I started off I'm from Nova Scotia, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love Nova Scotia.
Oh, have you been?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I lived
Great.
in Moncton for quite a bit, so we would go to Nova
All right.
Scotia, Halifax, right? So, and in the
Yeah, I grew
surrounding
up right
areas,
across the harbor in Dartmouth.
and
Yeah.
just exploring and everything. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
no. I remember shoveling 3 times in a week because of snowstorm, and I think
Yeah,
that's what
Moncton's a real snow belt.
it's a snow belt. So that prompted me to leave, I guess, right? So I was
I totally get that.
summer was fantastic though, right? It's like the
Oh yeah, go to
seafood,
the
if you like
beach up in
seafood,
Shediac.
Shediac,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
fried clams. Did you miss that? Fried
I don't
clams.
miss the clams, but I miss the lobster and the scallops.
The
Yeah.
lobster. The
Mm.
what's that lobster again from Bay? What's that again? The cold lobster from the coldest part of the ocean. Um,
I
Bay
don't
Fundy?
know.
I can't remember.
From the Bay of Fundy.
Bay
Yeah.
of Fundy, that's the one. That's
Yeah.
the one. The Bay
Yeah.
of Fundy lobsters and the mussels and all of the scallops because
Mhm.
it comes from the coldest part of the ocean. Sorry, you're supposed to be sharing a story, and I just got excited
Totally
when you said that
fine.
you're from Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never really felt much at home there. I kind of felt out of place and constrained.
Mm,
It's a fairly conservative place, and um, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I didn't feel particularly attached to my family either. So
Yeah.
left in my early 30s, came to England,
Okay.
thought, oh yeah, this is going to be better. And in many ways, it was.
Yeah.
Um, but there was always a sense of dissatisfaction that came in, and let's try something different. Let's
Hmm.
leave, there was a marriage involved that broke down. Let's try another marriage 10 years later. And that involved a move to Belgium. Okay, let's do that.
Oh
And then
wow.
that involved a move to the United States 6 years after that, just searching, maybe this will be better, maybe this will be the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
situation. And that marriage broke down as well, too, number two. Um, and along the way, there was lots of different job changes. I trained in healthcare, but along the way, I trained in three other disciplines as well, too, as side gigs or
Hmm.
alternatives when I'd had enough of healthcare. So there was lots of let's go try this. Maybe that'll be better. Maybe I'll be happier
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
Yeah.
be satisfied, and
Yeah.
just never really worked out. So ended up moving here to Scotland 2 years ago.
Okay.
And there's been, thankfully, more a sense of stability outwardly in most respects. I don't have a desire to move anywhere else. I actually finally feel at
Oh,
home now
good. Yeah.
after 30 years, thank God. And it's a lovely combination here because there's a lot of familiarity because this is old Scotland and I grew up in New Scotland. Um,
Exactly. Oh wow. It's almost like a,
yeah,
a connected thing. You know what I'm
very
saying? It's
much
like,
so. I mean,
yeah,
you can hear bagpipes on the street here, and
yeah,
you can
yeah,
hear that in Halifax a lot
yeah.
too during the summer months when the tourists are around. So that
And
feels
good
really
chowder,
good.
probably.
What was that?
And good chowder.
No,
Seafood
it's not a
chowder.
thing here,
Oh,
actually,
is that a
surprisingly.
thing there?
No. No, that's more of a maritime thing.
That's a
That's not really a
maritime thing.
Scotland thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
Great
thought
salmon,
chowder.
though.
You know what I'm
Great
saying?
salmon. Yeah. And
I can hear
fiddlehead.
the
Yeah.
I can fiddlehead. Oh yeah, I like fiddleheads.
Yes. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you were in New Brunswick, you would have been acquainted with
I
fiddleheads.
love
Yeah.
fiddleheads. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Butter, fiddlehead,
With butter. Oh,
and
yes.
garlic, a little
Absolutely.
bit of garlic, and then
Why
fiddlehead.
not? And salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I've noticed you like to talk about
I
food.
do.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
So,
you've restricted your food, in spirituality and non-duality, there's an explosion almost of just it's almost getting out of prison of the food. It's like you're in a food prison and you can't do this and that. There's
right.
appreciation for the
Hmm.
thing. Yeah. Yeah. But
That's
somehow,
interesting.
with this unfolding, there's actually some healthy choices that seems to be appearing. Not personal, but it's just the body. You know what I'm saying? It's changing. So
Knows what
it's
it
it's
wants.
it's running more. It's cutting sugars, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a part of this,
Hmm.
never-ending movement of
Hmm.
stillness, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Sorry, go
sounds
ahead.
good.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So more stability on the outer front. Thankfully, there's finally stability on the work front as well, too. I've stepped away from a clinical role and I work as a civil servant, actually. I'm in a desk job for the first
Oh,
time in my
wow.
life. It's
That's
still something
great.
socially useful. I work in the disability payments system here. So I still get to use my healthcare background, but I don't have to deal directly with people's problems anymore, and that
Yeah.
feels fine.
Yeah.
That keeps me more on an emotional even keel, and I don't feel like I'm constantly, I don't know if I'm quite skilled enough in this situation, the self-doubt and the
Hmm.
self
Yeah.
flagellation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm an expert at
Were
self-flagellation.
you raised Catholic in Nova Scotia, perhaps?
Did you guess? Yes, I most certainly
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
I get a lot of hardcore seekers from the Catholic, with a Catholic background.
Yeah.
This one included. You know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
when
go
I
ahead.
heard you were Filipino, I thought he must have been Catholic. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Roman Catholic, not just,
Mm,
Roman Catholic, which is the
proper Roman
strictest kind of
Catholic.
like,
Yeah.
the Philippines shuts down for the Holy Week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's that embedded in the culture.
It is. It is. Yeah.
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 And I wanted to say, you may have known people who were involved in the horrible incident in Vancouver last
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Condolences,
Oh, thank
sincere
you. Thank you.
condolences.
Yeah.
That must have been horrible news to hear.
It was. It was. It was. And especially, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge
Thank you.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, getting onto the spiritual seeking, yeah, it started off. I actually really appreciate my Catholic background in many ways because
Hmm.
it gave me that appreciation for the aesthetics of the liturgy
Yeah.
and the beauty of spiritual, sacred singing, because I love to sing.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. But ultimately, it was the hierarchy, the politics, the misogyny, the patriarchy that just, nah. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I came to discover something about myself, which is I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, Catholicism is all about follow these rules.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
left that and tried to find it was it was still really important, and it is currently still important to feel part of a spiritual community, though. So
Yeah.
after I left the church in my late 20s, I guess mid late 20s, I tried kind of the polar opposite in terms of structure, things like Quakers and the Unitarians,
Hmm.
good, strong values, but much less structure, no hierarchy, no clergy. Well, Quakers don't have a clergy. Unitarians don't have the bishop structure.
Hmm.
And that was fine. And then that still wasn't very satisfying spiritually. It was great community, but
Mm.
spirituality was a bit light. So then I got into Buddhism pretty heavily for, a decade. That was when I came to the UK. Try to, again, the dissatisfaction. First Buddhist community, not so sure. Maybe I'll try this one. Maybe I'll try
Yeah.
that one. Ended up in a community that followed Thich Nhat Hanh, the
Mm.
Zen
Yeah.
Buddhist.
Yeah. I like
That was
him.
kind of
Yeah.
the least um, the least legalistic and structured that I could find.
Yeah.
Still beautiful, but ultimately, I didn't feel like I was making much progress with that. You can
Yeah.
do mindful walking till the cows come home, but it just still wasn't quite
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't feel satisfied.
I tried that peace in every step, for
Yeah.
how long, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, beautiful man, by the way, right? But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I
beautiful
actually
man.
got to meet him in
Yeah,
2010. I went to a retreat that he put on in England, and his presence, I mean, he's a tiny guy. He was like
yeah,
5'2" or something like that. But oh, when you get right up close to a man, he just looks straight at you. Yeah, very, very powerful
yeah,
presence.
yeah,
And yet, just something wasn't fully nourished by that. So
yeah.
drifted for a while, and then probably about 6 years ago, started hearing about non-duality teachers,
Hmm.
Adyashanti being the first one.
Yeah.
Heard about him through a sort of eclectic meditation group I was going to when I was living in Oregon in the US.
Hmm.
Um, and he was quite refreshing, very down to earth character. I think you had some contact with him,
Yes.
possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yet
He's great too. He's great. He's a great guy
he is,
too.
he's
Yeah.
so sincere. And yet I
Hmm.
found him
I read all
extremely
of his books.
frustrating, though, because he just
Yes.
talks around and around and around and beats around the bush. And I just wanted to say, get to the point. And it didn't happen very often with his stuff.
Yeah.
So that was kind of maddening. So I looked a little further, got into Rupert Spira quite a lot.
Yeah.
He's so elegant in the way he speaks, and he was a little more direct, although he still
Yeah.
embroidered a lot.
Yeah. He is.
And
He is an
then,
eloquent speaker. That man.
oh, he's
And I
incredibly,
love the pauses in between.
yeah,
He's such a great speaker. Yeah. But go
yeah,
ahead.
he
Sorry.
is
But
so
it was. But
sincere
yeah, you're
as
right. But
well.
you're right. It's also a spiral.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. And, I could see from the videos that I watched, and I went to some online events, that it was a lot of the same people coming back
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
after time. And I
Yeah.
thought, what's going on here? Is this like a fan club or what, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I think I read The Greatest Secret, that Rhonda Byrne book, and found out
Yeah.
about David Bingham and
Yeah.
John Wheeler. And I don't know if you've ever listened to any of John Wheeler's stuff on YouTube. There's
That
some
has been
recorded,
coming up a lot lately. I think I did at one point, but
hmm
at that point I was going through the buffet of speakers and everything. So
and
not
the buffet is ever growing these
it
days, isn't it?
is, yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah,
of the
but
dessert section now, you know.
yeah.
But just a second, okay, Lynn, I'm just going to let my doggy out because
Oh yeah,
just a
do.
second.
Yes,
One
doggies
second,
have,
1 second.
they need care.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, so go ahead. Back to Rupert. Rupert.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah,
Oh no,
I've
John Wheeler now. We were talking about
John
John Wheeler.
Wheeler,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a lot like you in many ways. He
Yeah.
he will frankly say that a lot of the spiritual marketplace stuff, a lot of
Hmm.
things that people are talking about, he says it's just crap, basically. He says that quite frankly, and says,
Yeah.
just really look at what you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And I loved his directness. I really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
should reach out or read some of his stuff because
Yeah,
I've been
he's
comparing a
off.
lot lately. Yeah. Yeah. So
He's
it's
retired now.
and
There's
it's and
only a
it's
small number of
and it's
audio
flattering to
interviews
be
that are
even compared
available.
to anyone. You know what I'm saying? It's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but he spoke very eloquently and movingly about he had gone to see Sailor Bob Adamson in Melbourne in
Yeah.
Australia
Yeah.
and got clarity from there.
Yeah.
And yeah, he really tries to keep it simple, and I loved that.
Yeah.
Um, and David Bingham is great too. I had a one-to-one session with him about 3 years ago. And
Yeah.
he
He's
does
great
mostly
too. Yeah.
one-to-one
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
He's gone to group sessions now, moving away from the one-to-ones. I think he's possibly getting a little old and older and
Hmm.
doesn't want to spend as much time doing the one-to-ones now,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe. But there's a fair bit of um, I don't want to say storytelling. That's a little bit pejorative, but he talks a lot about what you can do during the integration process after you've had some
Hmm.
clarity, and um, that there's a sort of a like a he calls it the dualistic central server, this energy
Yeah.
source that tries to keep you sucked into a dualistic identity, and
Hmm.
how to deal with invitations from this rather malevolent source and all that. And yeah, some of that I
Yeah.
can understand, and some of it just sounds like a
Yeah.
mess,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. And I noticed, I think what prompted me to reach out this week was he started doing these monthly Q&As, and I was just about to sign up for the next one, which is tonight. And then I thought, what am I doing here? It feels like I'm part of a club. Oh, I got
Yeah.
to sign up for the next one. He's doing another event. I'll
Yeah.
hear some more discussion, and then
Hmm.
what? You
Yeah.
know? And I think my frustration boiled over completely because the one area of seeking that is still maddeningly constant for me
Hmm.
is in the area of relationships.
Yeah.
And, having been through two marriages, having spent a lot of my life very conscious of an experience of loneliness,
Yeah.
and having had an experience in the last month of a quite unhealthy relationship or near relationship with a neighbor,
Hmm.
which I put the stops to 4 months ago. But it's been very difficult to stop the thoughts about that person because there's constant visual reminders. He lives right across the street.
Hmm.
And as much as I absolutely want to just get out of that loop, it's been building again in the
Hmm.
last week or so. And I am at the point where I am so sick of my mind, and I'm so sick of being in this pattern of thinking that if I achieve relationship
Hmm.
X, then I will be
Yeah.
happy, I'll
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
satisfied, I'll be at peace. It hasn't happened yet. Is it likely to happen now? No, of course not. Logically, I know that.
Yeah.
And yet it's incessant. It's just
Yeah.
incessant.
Yeah.
And if I could sort of pick my head up and throw it out the window, I would,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so done with that. I'm
Yeah.
so done with that sense of um, the Buddhist phrase as being like a hungry ghost. You're
Yeah.
so hungry for nourishment, and you will never be satisfied.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think I made a video about that. But I added a spiritual buffet to it.
right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like being a hungry ghost and gorging on spiritual beliefs and non-duality teachers and speakers, hoping that it
Yeah,
will
pick
fill
your
you up.
poison.
But there's no stomach,
No,
so
it doesn't go
there's no
anywhere.
fulfillment. There's no contentment. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and it's similarly. You probably have seen my video. I like infusing a story here and there. It's just to express how similar we are, and that there's nothing really special about me.
I love that you do that. I love your humility.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's funny, right? The past 4 months, I don't know if you got my newsletter.
No,
I have not done any group meetings, and people have been
right.
bugging me like every week, every week. When are you gonna have? Why don't you celebrate this? You did 3 years already. You have this subscriber amount. And I finally
Yeah.
gave in, right? But
Okay.
looking at that, I was just saying that it's actually great just to get out of the way, being a non-duality speaker,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people were not sharing my. I did not even post anything social media wise,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
because it's just the normal thing that you would post quotes that you have said, and so I have not been quotable for the past little while, and it's almost like I disappeared as while I'm growing in subscriptions. Basically, it's almost like I
Yeah.
just shut down a little bit, right? And
Yeah.
it's just so good not to feed that. I was talking to someone, feed that beast of fame, name, gain.
I think that's why John Wheeler stopped, actually. He even
Yeah,
took his books out of circulation.
yeah. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of but I do love what I do.
Hmm.
I do love what I do. I don't like the. I've been in that um, past appearance of me where I was a spiritual teacher that
Mm.
was posting my every single move on social media and doling out unwarranted, unsolicited advice. you know,
Pearls of wisdom.
pearls of
Hmm.
wisdom, and that I didn't know. Just created this. It's almost like I call it like a non-duality porn of someone that's enlightened, and then people are just subscribing to that life, right? Of here
Yeah,
I am, so happy and so fit,
yeah,
or so look at where I'm traveling to. Look at me being in front of 100 people or something. So
yeah.
I just made it. But anyway, enough of
Sticky.
that. It's sticky, yeah.
Hmm.
It's great. It's great. So I should reach out to John Wheeler and thank him for the work that he does.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. If he's reachable, I don't know.
It
Mm.
allowed people like me to be direct, right? Probably. Yeah. There's a predecessor usually that was direct, and then it creates this
Hmm.
this opening to be direct without the accoutrements of what
Without the
teachings.
accoutrements.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I see, I'm going to be frank. I'm going to be
Go for it.
critical here. People
Go
like
for it.
Muji who are you know, having this persona of this guru and, people bowing in front of him and like, oh, that just gives me the creeps. It really does.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sure he's very sincere, but, even the name Muji, I mean, he's Tony Moo from Brixton in London. He's just
yeah,
a Londoner.
yeah,
And now he's got this persona, Muji.
yeah. It's the same thing with
Mm,
I was talking to someone and he was telling me about this person. It's called Brahman and everything. I'm like, okay. The moment that someone changes their name to try to appear to be more holy, there's a show happening. And it's okay. It's okay, right? There's a pageantry happening, or there's a
yeah,
there's a wall.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a persona.
Yeah, it's a persona. There's a hierarchy happening already.
Hmm. Yes, and in, so many spiritual communities, that leads to the person who's up on the pedestal feeling free to abuse their followers, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was involved in a spiritual community in my 20s called L'Arche, French for the Ark, led by a Canadian named Jean Vanier. And it
I've
involved,
heard about that.
yeah, it was like group homes for adults with developmental disabilities. And I was completely taken by that. Went and lived
Oh
in a
yeah.
home in Nova Scotia for a number of months. And, Jean Vanier was right next to God. And, he died a few years ago, and then it all came out. He'd been part of a sex cult and was,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it was awful.
yeah, yeah. That's what it
Hmm.
is anyone that gets into some form of power,
Yeah,
right, is susceptible into abuse of that power. Absolute
yeah,
power absolutely corrupts, basically.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and in my first foray into this, which I'm not proud of, but I'm transparent enough to talk about, right? It was
Hmm.
very I was put on a pedestal right away, and I was giving a lot of things, a lot of scholarships, and it was, you know what, the sincerity was there.
Yeah.
But when people start treating you like a saint, and then you
Hmm.
start rebelling, with that notion of what you are,
Yeah.
and then your mentors are telling you to accept it, right? But at the same time, you're like, that's not what this is. But you think that you. And then of course there's a lot of shame about that, a lot of guilt. I think for a couple of years I cried every night because I let everyone down, because I stepped
Mm.
down, right? Yeah, yeah. So that's
That's
why there's
good.
this boldness here, there's clarity here to cut all the crap, right? And let's
Hmm.
get to it, basically, right? So what do you believe at this very instance, Lynn, if you cannot go to the past or the future? Just this microsecond.
I'm a mess.
That's from the past.
That's from the past.
Yeah, yeah. What are you without a next or a past?
The word that's coming is unburdened, actually.
Yeah. unlabel that word. Go directly into that unburdened
Drop
feeling.
the word.
Yeah, drop the
Okay.
word. What do you without language at this moment?
I'm nothing.
Yeah,
There's just nothing.
yeah. It is so beautiful to be humble and say that. Right? And then even if you take a word nothing, just go directly at it, right? All this stuff that we make up so much about ourselves, right? It's just all of this
Mm.
burdens, right? All of these words.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
yeah,
The mess, the failure, the
yeah. And you know what? I've had a lot of that,
yeah.
right? But at this very
That's
moment,
the Catholic thing.
that's a
It's the mea
Catholic thing,
culpa
right? Yeah.
stuff.
It's like, if somebody told me that I would have to carry the cross and climb 10 mountains, I would have done it. Anyway, so at this very moment, where's that past and where's the future? Where's even the now?
Nowhere.
Yeah,
Nowhere.
yeah.
An image comes. It's like that question catapults me out of a snow globe or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
And I'm just out in space.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
yeah. So
Busting
there's,
out of the constrictions.
yeah, all that
Mhm.
basic this is basically an unlabeling, an unpeeling of all the things that you think that you are when what's being expressed here cannot really be expressed in words.
Mm.
And that's what you are. But all of this mind stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's just so restrictive. It's so confining. It's a jail, right? But really, what you've been doing is you've been looking outside of a prison, listening to people in the prison, hoping to get free, when you can just turn around and say, oh my goodness, I'm out of the prison. What am I doing listening
To the people inside.
inside the
Yeah.
prison?
Yes. Yes. And to all those social scripts about things that are supposed to make us happy. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. When you
Oh,
are already
man.
in the open field,
Mm.
you just have to get out of the
So
way.
what's the point of all this? I mean, why why do we have this experience then? Really, of feeling
That
like we're
question is
in
that
this virtual reality game or
yeah.
something.
If you go try to go to the next, then you are enforcing that there is something wrong or right about this moment.
Mm, true.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
if you take all the words of that one,
Yeah.
wake up. Right? Wake up from the words that binds you, the beliefs that traps you, right? And it's a never-ending gradual unfolding, right? So, it's like this is the catalyst is when you see without seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that there's part of me that it has had an expectation that there's going to be a big fireworks moment.
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. And that's what the mind wants, right? Because
Oh
it
yeah.
can't it wants to overlook this so it can keep on maintaining its facade that that's who you are. You are not
Hmm.
the mind.
And keep speaking. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would want to
Yeah.
throw off your head, that kind of thing, right? But it's just so simple. If you take away the next verse, the mind.
Mm. The mind is shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the mind will try to make the negotiator like, well, there's supposed to be fireworks. It's trying to, but where's the next?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And coming back with, remember what happened the last time you thought you'd reached a decisive switch, which was
Yeah.
about 6 weeks ago,
Yeah.
actually. I
Yeah.
thought that,
So
oh yeah, I had this very subtle sort of a shift.
yeah,
And then I
yeah.
had about 4 or 5 days of feeling very blissful.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought,
See,
oh, this is it.
this
I've
is it.
made it. I'm
Well,
enlightened. Woo-wee. Life is going to be so interesting now.
yeah. So
And then
whatever
that faded
happens from now
away.
on, never ever accept a position. Yeah.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
life
because
is just not all about bliss, right? If bliss is just, it'll be so boring. You'd be
it
creating
was
a
only
virtual
blissful.
you'll be creating a virtual reality of suffering. Like that movie Bliss. I don't know if you've seen that movie Bliss.
No.
So I'm gonna go into the story. So there's this movie with Selma Hayek and Owen Wilson or something. And
Okay.
then they were kind of like in a very uh, dystopian world. She's there's this guy that's just stoic and depressed, working in an office, about to get fired. He meets this vibrant woman, Salma Hayek, that's
Yeah.
homeless, and then they start taking drugs.
Oh,
And then when his life started falling apart, Salma Hayek goes, "This is not really reality. This is a virtual reality." Because we just have to take more drugs and we'll wake up into, just trust me.
sure.
So it was true. So he wakes up, and apparently there's this society that has been blissful for the past 1,000 years, and they're just really bored because they don't even have to work anymore.
Right.
There's just
It's
so
too
much art that
perfect.
you can do, too perfect, right? So he created this virtual reality called suffering, basically.
Suffering.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Who knew? Yeah.
So when you get stuck on the idea that I'm free, guess what happens? The next idea and the next is not free.
Yeah. Yeah. And it all
So
comes flooding back.
it all comes flooding back. But if you
Hmm.
don't give it, it's so funny, right? This is just a story as well. But if you
Yeah.
don't give it a label, you don't get stuck that I am enlightened or I am awake or I am liberated.
Hmm.
If you take away the I am, then it's just liberation no matter what.
Oh,
Yeah,
good letting go here. Tension.
yeah,
Whew.
yeah. It's the liberation becomes impersonal.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And it's been like this for quite a while now, right? And it's just, and I
Mm.
didn't know how to talk about it even because I'm like, am I
Mhm.
ruining it by talking about it? But
Yeah.
somehow I found a way, which is just one on ones.
Hmm.
That's why I don't want to do the group because people put me in a big chair right away. That's why I don't have a chair anymore. That's why it's very contemporary. You know what I'm saying?
With a vase of flowers to your right.
That's
And
right. I have a melting clock from Dolly that I got from Timu.
yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that. That's kind of cool.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I'm trying to express is that there is no difference between here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's between here and there? What's between you and me? Nothing. Yeah. It's so clear, isn't it?
It's just
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
no delineation at all.
No. And
Mm.
and and when I
Oh.
was starting to speak, because you know what, I got,
Mhm.
I got canceled as a spiritual teacher, if you want to be honest, right? Before, right? Um, and
Voluntarily, or people
well,
decided that?
simultaneously, I guess I stepped down and
Okay.
I didn't really say anything. You did not correct any, because in my lineage at that time, I was more into the traditional advaita-ish kind of like, thing. And what I did was a lot of selfless service. And then when everything started falling apart, when I had a lot of faults too, right? I had a lot of faults too. It got to my head at one point, right? You start
It's inevitable.
it. I never slept with anyone though. I did never abuse that power of. I
Mhm.
love really the people that even the moment that you think that you're serving others, you're on a pedestal right away, right? So I had to basically fall on my face to see
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
there's really no hierarchy.
Yeah.
If you take away all the words, this is all equanimity. If you take away the language, then what's a seeker and what's a teacher or see a speaker? It doesn't matter. So I
That's right.
guess when I started speaking again, I was really reluctant because,
Mm.
you know, it's
Slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
Um, there was an unfolding that was happening still, right? But there's a lot of peace and contentment. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I started seeing people clearing up like you. Yeah,
I think your instinct to stay away from the group meetings is a wise one.
yeah. I'm having one, but it's just a celebration. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I won't
You're not
probably even
expected to
post it.
speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We'll do one-on-ones, and everything, and it's just
Hmm.
yeah. It is because it just creates this monster. The moment the
Hmm.
flower starts appearing, the moment that you know, this year maybe because my subscription is growing,
Hmm.
every week I get an invitation to travel somewhere.
All right.
With we have 50, 100 people that can show up, and I've said no to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's nice
Hmm.
to travel like a rock star, right? But I prefer the one-on-ones. Even my retreat, which I do now, because people have been asking it, it's a one-on-one retreat. It's
Okay.
limited to a few number of people so that we can just keep on going at it one-on-one. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Well, other people observe, or is it all separate?
People observe, so it's I did this before, and all of the people that came to the event stopped seeking, and I'm like,
Okay.
okay, I should do this again, right? This is working well, and it
Right.
actually inspired me to do more one-on-ones, right?
Yeah.
I was facing a group of people that had many different belief systems, so maybe 20% was believing in A Course in Miracles. There was radical non-duality. So I just made it universal and
Yeah.
asked, what do you believe at this moment? If you only
Mm.
have this moment.
Mm. Beliefs just fall away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Mm. Mm.
Wow.
Oh,
All
it's nice
right.
to be able to breathe. Ah,
Yeah.
oh, oh, it was all just a soap opera.
It is. It's a mini series for you. Sorry, Lynn, with many different seasons.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is so subtle that you don't even notice it because it's the natural. Again, this is just a word. It's a natural state. It's like being a
Yeah.
kid again
Yeah.
before we get really caught up in our belief systems and we think that
Hmm.
this is right or wrong, that I'm better and you're not,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah. In
yeah.
fact, I think that's the title of one of John Wheeler's books, Reawakening to the Natural State.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's funny because I have talked to so many different speakers and teachers, and
Mhm.
somehow I don't remember him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Because
think
he,
he stopped teaching like around maybe 2010 or something like
oh,
that.
okay, okay,
It's been
yeah,
a
yeah.
while. He was based in the Bay Area in San
You know
Francisco.
who's another one that I like is David Kurz. And then there's another guy that I
Mhm.
like, Daryl Bailey, who's Canadian. They also stopped teaching.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
at one point, maybe about 2 years ago, I wrote a letter actually that I'm stopping because it was just I was doing it for free for about a year or by
Hmm.
donation. And
Yeah.
really, when you're living below the poverty, level in Canada, right? You're kind of like
Not easy in Toronto.
that easy in Toronto whatsoever. And of course, there's a lot of people that are wondering, why do people charge the speaking? I'm like, well, there's still bills to pay. Yeah. Food to eat, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You
yeah, yeah.
got
So a
it.
lot of people, you know what, but somehow, you know what, there's some, when I started doing this one-on-ones, there's
Mhm.
been a lot of shift with a lot of people. So it's great. It's amazing. It's so,
Mm. And that sincerity comes through.
oh yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
it really
Yeah.
does. It's
Yeah.
which was why I felt safe to do this, I
Yeah.
think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I I love doing this, that I do it like 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? And I, and half of the people that come to me can't afford this.
Hmm.
That's why I do so much. And but it's so great just to I get a lot of people coming from cults.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah. That's the pro
Gosh.
bono part of it, right? Because
Yeah.
usually when you go to a cult, you're I can't even imagine what they go through. It's so
Yeah.
imagine being ripped apart from your life and family, and then
Hmm.
creating this new family that you think that is authentic, led by
Hmm.
someone that will rip
Yeah.
you apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been there.
In some ways, L'Arche was a little bit like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And then you have to rebuild your life again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then if you have
Yes.
not
My
really
mental
seen,
health was shattered after that
yeah,
experience, to be honest.
yeah,
I had to take a year off.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
funny thing is, right, is when they first encounter me, they're like, well, there's nothing special about you, so how can you help me? You're not a guru, you don't have any special powers or anything like that. And that's why I
Hmm.
release a lot of the videos. You know what I'm saying? It's just okay, you know what? The simplicity is here, it's very direct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
There's a
get
transparency there.
there's a
This is what's on
transparency.
offer.
This
Yeah.
is what's on offer, and
Yeah.
it's not like well Lynn, if you sign up for my 10-week program, then you will have the fireworks later on. And
Yeah.
but it will cost you a
There's
hundred
a lot
grand,
of
right?
that out there. There really
Yeah.
is. You
I
know,
joke
like,
around about that, but that's what's on offer, right? So
yeah, the $1,200 retreat in Costa Rica and that kind of
that's right.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, staying away from that stuff.
Yeah. For me, right, it's kind of like funny when people start the last retreat, I really, really mean it. Like I'm gonna support that person until it's gotta stop.
Yeah.
There has to be a new paradigm shift
Hmm.
in the story anyway, right? So
I
there's an
agree.
evolution happening actually. If you look at it,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
old structure almost is beginning to disintegrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can't happen soon enough because the world is in such, or a seeming world seems to be in such a
Seeming, yeah.
mess.
It is, yeah. And then that's what it
Mhm.
is. It's almost like a response to that if you look at it
Mm.
in the
Mhm.
story anyway, right? That there is this
Yeah.
mess
Yeah.
that's happening. So
Yeah.
um yeah.
Yeah. Do you, maybe you're beyond this, but do you find yourself getting caught up in some of those exterior world
Not
narratives? I mean,
really
Canada's just had an
anymore.
election and
No, 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 not at all.
no?
No.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would be really nice to be free of
yeah, yeah.
that, frankly,
Well,
because it's scary
that's just
sometimes.
what are you without that belief that you're not free from that already?
What am I without that belief? Mm.
And don't look at it as a position right now, it's an unraveling, right? It's
That's still
it's
quite interesting.
almost it's almost like, being in a movie theater, caught up in a
Mhm.
horror show, and then
Yeah.
until someone is thinking that that's what's happening, really, and then
Yeah.
and then an usher opens the door, and then you get jolted out. You're like, oh, it's still scary. You know what I'm saying?
But
But
it's
you
just,
see that it's just a movie. Yeah, yeah. So you get your popcorn and you're like, oh shoot, what am I watching this? Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So there's a
Mm.
peace with it, right? So
Hmm.
there's a peace with no matter what happens. There is I remember before, I would go from one side to the other side, and
Yeah.
even conspiracy wise, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Thinking that you're right or that I'm right and you're wrong.
Hmm.
So whoever has the most compelling, you know what I'm saying, evidence or something, then I would
Hmm.
do that. But now I
Okay.
see this all as a narrative, right?
Yeah.
There's still going
Yeah.
to be some scary characters in a movie, some villains and whatever, if you know what I mean, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
But you're not trying to kill that character because it's just a screen. And then you just become more direct with what's in front of you.
Mm.
Then
Hmm.
there's more, attention to your friends or to your work and everything. And then you just becomes this light in this era of darkness, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And not as
Mm.
a participant in it anymore, as just as a standing light, as a lighthouse or whatever. This is just old stories, of course,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the I know I guess that's the thing that is happening. Um, it's just there's just a lightness of being. There's just a contentment. There's peace, right? So the direct people that you encounter with also sees that peace.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a real service.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
you're not even doing it. You're just at peace.
Just being, just being.
That's what you are
Mhm.
really, saying if you
Yeah.
take away the words and everything. And then again, you know what? The mind will try to come back, but it's easy to
Oh, it
see.
does. It really does. I mean, there's part of me in here saying right now, I would love to believe what you're saying, and
Yep.
yet part of me thinks, but this all still feels really
How
real.
about this? It has nothing to do with what I say. It's what I
Yeah.
can't say. And it's what you can't say. We just have
Mm.
to both get out of the way. I got out of the way. It's your turn.
Yeah.
When I say get out of the way, it's the belief and non-belief. This and that is the
Mm.
dualistic expression of what you are.
Mhm.
The mind, the thought, the belief, the character, right?
Okay.
And there's just this flow of what already is. And again,
Mm.
this is just a story, but don't worry. Once you see through it, right, you'll see
Mm.
through it again. There
Mm.
might be sometimes like Shirag, you know what I'm saying? And he's great. You know what I'm saying? He was great. He's great, right? So
Yes.
he is this animated character, you know what I'm saying? And he's just a great, great guy, you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah. He's brilliant.
he's brilliant. But that's what I mean. You already have that brilliance now. You've seen
Mm.
through. It's almost like you've already somebody or an usher. That's maybe that's just what I am. It's just open the door a little bit. You're like, okay,
Mm.
Lynn. You saw the light through that darkness, basically. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And that
Yeah.
light basically is all that there is. There's just this appearance of darkness. There's a movie that always ends, but there's a
Hmm.
light that never goes out.
So there's this sensation in the body now of muscle tension letting go,
Yeah,
and an image is coming of a wax costume or armor just
yeah,
melting off
yeah,
off me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just go directly with it. Don't give it a
Yeah.
past or future. Go directly with it.
Mm.
Unlabel everything that's happening. Unname it.
Freedom. Freedom.
Beautiful. I'm going to stop the recording.